universe was eternal.
Yes.
Can you please provide evidence for that statement?
So the evidence is quite simple. So if the world and universe was
You're talking to me or them? Them or me?
would you agree with that?
Don't ask me a question with a question. Give me
Okay.
substantiation
We'll go for it.
from anyone who makes
Okay.
that claim.
So what I'm saying is, if there was no universe, there would be nothing. The problem you have is that we can never get to this point. We have never found nothing. We've only ever found matter, which then logically would tell you the probability is there's always been something. Because this nothing that you're talking about, we've never found.
Can I ask you something? You mentioned about matter and about nothing else. In other words, you're saying that there is only matter and nothing else. Am I right? I think he's an atheist, yes. I can safely assume so, based on his questions. Is that right?
No, you're wrong.
So what are you, agnostic?
Don't worry. I'm a person standing here.
Oh, wait. I need to know in what, if you're going to hide your faith, or your belief, or your worldview, how will I reason with you?
I'm asking you.
Are you afraid to tell who you are?
1 minute. Can we not have a dialogue?
No, I need to know you
No.
from which point of view to approach you.
You're asking a question with a question. Can we not just have dialogue?
But you're not even answering my question. You're making assumptions, not answering.
I said I'm just a person standing here.
No, my question was, what is your evidence for the universe always existing? You still haven't given a reason.
I have. I just give it to you.
What is that?
I told you that it's either got to be something or nothing. It's either a
That's not a
positive or
reason.
minus. It's either yes or no.
That's not a reason.
1 minute. So 1 minute.
That's
So
not
1
a
minute.
reason. That's not an answer.
It is an answer.
No, it's not.
You either
Why are you saying no?
Either we got to have something or we got to have nothing.
Why? Who made that?
Prove it.
Question.
One
Okay,
second.
can you prove your consciousness exists?
I can prove that something is here. Look around you. So we can prove.
your conscious-
One
is your
minute,
consciousness
let me
existing?
answer. So we can prove that there's something here.
Yeah, we know matter exists. We know
Can you
matter
prove there's nothing
exists. We
here?
know matter exists.
Can you prove there's nothing here?
Does nothing exist? So why are you asking me to prove something that doesn't exist? That's a silly argument.
No, so therefore I'm right.
But God is not nothing. Which part of that you don't understand?
According to you, not according to me.
Also, you don't believe in God.
I didn't say that.
Do you believe in God?
I didn't say that.
Are you going to answer the question?
I'm just a person standing here.
I know, but that wasn't my
I'm asking
question.
a question.
My question is, do you believe in God?
I'm asking you to prove it.
I didn't ask you to prove God. I asked you, does he exist or not?
There could be something out there.
Does God exist?
There could be something.
Does God exist?
What's your definition of God?
Good. Finally, it's getting somewhere. Okay. For me, God is an intelligent being who is self-existing, the first cause. He's powerful. He's got certain attributes which humans don't have.
Knowing, yeah.
Yes. This for me is God Almighty. Okay. Now, when you use the term God, what do you understand by it?
Could be intelligence. Could be anything. Anything.
Sorry, could be what?
Anything.
Could be anything.
Intelligence.
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 Is that your definition of God? Just intelligence?
It could be.
Okay. Do you have intelligence?
I have intelligence.
Are you God?
No.
So it cannot be God then. So what is God to you then?
I said could be.
No, I'm asking you, what is the difference between you and God then? You have intelligence, God has intelligence. So what's the difference between you and God?
So you're saying an intelligence of a human must be by default the same as intelligence of a God.
I didn't say that. I'm
Yes,
asking you.
Yes, you did. You just said, well, you're intelligent, you must be God.
No, because you
so
define.
you're wrong.
No, because
So you're wrong.
hold on. You define God as only intelligence.
I don't know, actually, could be.
That is your definition. You should know what you're defining.
No, but if I don't have it, if we can't prove it, it's all probability and maybe an if.
Does God
maybe.
exist? By saying
I
that
told you.
I don't want to say who I am, I'm just a person. For you to say that, look, at least the other gentleman, Mark, was sincere enough and humble enough to say, I'm
get back to the
agnostic.
point.
I'm agnostic. Here's the
back to
point
the
which you're
point.
not answering.
You ran away
For
from
you,
it.
no, I did not. My question you still haven't answered. You said there's a probability that the universe always existed. You still
Correct.
haven't defined why.
I've told you why.
Given us a reason
I've told
why.
you why. Because there's either nothing or there's something. Would you all agree that's logical?
Yes, that is.
There's either something or there's nothing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Is there something around us?
There is, yes.
Yes. Is there nothing anywhere in the universe? Is there a space where there's nothing?
No.
No. So what does that show us?
What else is
That
left?
show us, 1 minute, that shows us, think of it logically, that there's definitely something, there's definitely something.
How does that
but
answer my
there's not
question?
nothing. Because it proves.
My question wasn't about nothing. My question was about something called the universe
Yes.
for it to eternally exist.
Yes.
When you say eternally exist, that means at no point during time did it ever not exist.
Okay.
Am I right? Based on your term eternity, I hope you understand the meaning of the term eternal.
Yes,
That
yes,
was the one
yes,
you used.
yes.
So did the universe always exist?
As far as we can tell, probably yes.
Who is we?
Scientists.
Oh, really? So you know any scientist who says that it exists eternally?
Possible. There's possibility.
Can you name one scientist who made that
There's
statement?
possibilities.
No, don't give me
There's many.
possibilities.
I'm not a
Can you name?
scientist.
So you said based on us. Sorry, but we. and you said scientist, and you can't name a single scientist.
One second. I will tell you, forget any scientists or anyone.
So it's me then.
1 minute. We can't see nothing. We can
Forget about nothing. We don't talk about nothing. We have to talk about something called the universe.
You said.
Where is your evidence that it always existed?
Before the universe, what was there?
Don't ask me question with the question. Remember?
Okay.
Your principle.
Okay.
Answer my question. Which scientist ever made the statement that the universe is eternal? Name me one scientist. One credible scientist who made that statement. No, you're not a scientist. You're not a scientist. It does. Because you said according to the scientist. I asked you who is we. You said according to the scientist.
According to his logic, if you're not a historian, you can't have an opinion about history. If you're not a bricklayer or construction worker, you can't have an opinion about a house. That's what he said. It's for you.
You're asking a question and then answering it yourself.
Think about what he just said. Yes or no?
Why don't you think about the fact that you made this statement? It's on camera. I asked you according to whom is it? Wait, you talk, let me talk. You made a very clear statement in front of the camera. I asked you, whose statement is this?
I just told you.
Wait a minute. I asked you, whose statement is this, that the universe is eternal? You said, we. I asked you, who is this we? You said the scientist. Then I asked you, name me one scientist who made that statement, and you failed miserably.
Not miserably, I just don't have the name.
Well, don't make statements you don't know.
No, that's not, I don't know.
Well, bring it and then make the statement.
I did hear it.
So right now we have no evidence from this guy or any. No, your word is nothing. Your words are nothing unless you can back it up with science. Because that is your belief. Was that? Do you want to take his place? This guy is struggling. He doesn't know about science. He doesn't know about religion. And he thinks he knows everything. In fact, he was so adamant to talk to me that he somehow got me by saying that, oh, something came from nothing. I never made that statement. Okay, talk to them. I think I'm done with you. Because you already talked.
He's running.
Yeah, look, I'm running. Wow. I'm running at light speed, no one can see me.
Taking it off.
Shalom, no trigger. Sorry? No trigger. No.
Yeah.
Stop making white man.
It's a waste of time, honestly. Next time, learn some science.
No. Don't use the word nothing.
I will use the term nothing. Next time, watch my video full and then you'll see. No, I don't want to say a question.
There's nothing.
You had your chance.
There's nothing.
You already did that.
He's running.
I'm running at light speed.
That's nothing.
By the way, look, you see, this is the reason I didn't want to talk to him, because at the end of the day, it was a showmanship on his part. The guy doesn't know science, the guy doesn't know any scientists who make statements. And no, I'm not. At least I don't make statements that scientists said so, and I don't know the name of a single scientist who said the universe is eternal.
Double standard.
What
You're
double
not a
standard?
scientist. If you say go learn some science, you're not a scientist.
Because you made a statement that the scientist said this, and I asked you which scientist, you didn't know the name.
I said it with my
No,
own,
you said,
my own logic.
according to us. I asked you who is us, you said scientist. It's on camera.
The word nothing.
Don't try to say something you can't substantiate.
The word nothing.
Bye-bye, you're the weakest link.
Yeah.
Next. I like that. Yes, I'm running. Look. I'm so fast. You're coming to the camera? Okay, so are you willing to say you're agnostic or atheist, unlike that guy over there? Atheist. See, you see, you had no issue saying atheist. Mark had no issue. He's agnostic. The only guy who was insecure was this guy, full of insecurity. Okay, anyway, you're done. So please don't interrupt. Okay, go on. What is your question?
We have plenty of.
What's your name, by the way?
Puneet.
Puneet? Puneet or Puneet?
Puneet.
Puneet. Okay. What is your question?
No, not a question.
Your statement, that's fine.
I was adding for the discussion. You said there are no scientists who talk about an eternal universe which is completely false. Because
I never said no scientist. I asked him which scientist said it.
Okay, so I'm telling you the name of few scientists.
Okay.
Alan Guth, Roger Penrose, they both talk about eternal universe in their. So Alan Guth is the father.
Do you believe in the model of the eternal universe?
Their hypothesis, they
No,
need more evidence.
did you look into it?
I mean, yes, I did.
Okay. Is it one of the strong models or the weakest of the models?
No.
From the science, we have many models
It's a completely new field of science.
No,
in terms of, yes.
no. The important thing is this: there are many models of the origin of the universe.
Yes.
Can I finish? Eternal universe is another one, and there are many others. I think there are about 7 or 8 models.
Okay.
Wait, hear me out first. From that, this postulation of the hypothesis hypothesis, which is not even a theory yet, this hypothesis is the weakest one yet of the eternal universe. And you know what? What is one of the reasons that the scientists discount it? Have you heard of infinite regress?
Yeah.
No circle.
Fine. Now can I address your point? Okay. Till about 2 decades ago, most scientists did not even approach the question of what was there before the Big Bang. Big Bang.
When you finish, you already had a chance.
Big Bang is pretty much settled scientific theory as of now.
It's not settled. It's one of the models.
Yeah, it's the strongest model that we have for the
That I give you, yes. It's a strong model, yes.
For the strongest model that we have for the start of this current universe that we know of, that we're currently living in.
And you'll agree that the model of eternal universe is not a strong one.
No.
In fact, it is the weakest one.
No. That's not the point at all. Right? Within the last 20 years, the question has been started, people have started asking the question of how did the Big Bang come up? It's a relatively very recent development in astrophysics, in physics together. So now we have several hypotheses as to how the universe came about, right?
What do you believe?
I don't need to believe in anything. I just
What do you believe is the strongest one?
Again, it doesn't matter. Okay, so
it doesn't matter.
So there's the fractal universe, right? There's the fractal universe, there's the multiverse theory, there's eternal inflation. There are various hypotheses as to what happened before our current Big Bang.
Have you looked into these models?
Yes, I have.
Do you not believe, just like you said, the Big Bang is one of the most strongest
Big Bang
models?
is the strongest model for the start of our present universe. What happened before is what all these hypotheses try to address.
Do you know why they are not strong? The one which address of the multiverse?
Because they're new.
Wait, it's not just because it's new. They go through peer reviews.
Yeah.
You know why they have been...
No, but the
Can I
hypothesis...
at least have a word in between? Please, try to understand why I believe that the scientists themselves believe this to be one of the least acceptable models. Shall I tell you why? Do you know the second law of thermodynamics?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yes. Second law of thermodynamics? I forget the exact name of the law.
Okay. So, entropy, which is one of the most important factors in this multiverse, they actually did a calculation on their calculation. Based on that, they believe that entropy can go through, you know, this multiverse you talk about, where you have a universe which comes into existence, it expands and contracts and starts another one.
No, not really. That's not the multiverse I'm talking about. But okay,
It's
fine.
called, what is it called? There's a name for it. Forget the name. It's
Talking about
cyclic universe.
Yeah, the cyclic
Yeah, the
universe
cyclic.
belongs here.
So this cyclic universe is one of them which defines the eternal universe, and they believe that it can only go through iterations up to 80 or a bit more than that. But it's not something which is basically going to be for infinite number of loops. In other words, you can have cycles. You can have a cyclic universe up to maybe
X number of cycles.
yes, exactly. Before
whatever.
it stops existing.
Okay.
So wait. So based on that guy who had very little knowledge about this eternal universe, as you might have yourself understood, is because the reason they have discounted this is because this cyclic universe cannot go through this different tests of probability, and the reason they use is the second law of thermodynamics, which can only go through certain number of iterations, and afterwards it basically doesn't happen anymore. In other words, you can have 80 to 88 iterations, and that's it.
Okay, so
the universe, for a universe to have multiple cycles indefinitely, it doesn't exist.
okay, so
Because of this reason of the second law of thermodynamics.
Okay, so
now one of the other models that you know of which can talk about an eternal, explain one of them that you believe is the strongest.
So eternal inflation is perhaps the strongest in which has basis in modern physics as we know it right now, which is basically that the universe is always expanding. It always has been expanding, and it's always existed. It is just a subatomic quantum fluctuation in that expanding universe that our universe is, and there are several of these everywhere happening simultaneously.
What is the evidence?
It's a hypothesis. So, and there is...
So it's not even a theory, it's just a hypothesis.
It's a hypothesis.
Okay, good.
It's
So
a
in
hypothesis,
other words...
But it's a hypothesis with corroborating scientific evidence.
Which is what?
Which is the cosmic microwave background.
I'll give you one thing. You're telling me these universes have a beginning or don't have a beginning?
They have a beginning.
Okay, so it means it's not eternal.
But the universe itself is eternal.
How?
See, you're confusing between our universe and the larger universe in itself. Space
What is
and
it?
time.
Can you see that other universe other than ours?
No, but we can predict that they might exist depending on the laws of gravity and.
But how do you know the laws are the same in that other universe?
Because that's what I'm telling you. How do you know the laws are the same in the other universe?
No,
We don't know.
you're saying
no,
it's a
we don't
prediction.
know. No, we don't know. But what we can
Hold on.
say, once basic quantum mechanics and theory of relativity.
What has quantum mechanics to do with this?
I'm telling you, if you let me say that.
Okay, go on.
Basic quantum mechanics predicts that there are multiple instances of the universe that can be formed in an eternally inflating universe.
Based on-
which part of quantum
Yes.
mechanics? Because quantum particles come into existence spontaneously and go away.
Is it from nothing?
We don't know.
It is not from nothing.
We don't know
Have
where
you,
it is from.
have you heard of the
But we
have you heard of the
know that it
quantum?
happens.
Wait. Have you heard of the quantum vacuum?
Yes, I have.
Is a quantum vacuum nothing or something?
The quantum vacuum is just quantum vacuum.
Is it nothing or is it something?
We don't know, but we just know that.
You know, look, Punit, with all due respect, if you don't know, then don't delve into it.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Wait a minute,
That's what I'm
Punit, wait a minute,
yeah, yeah.
wait a minute. If you don't know what the quantum, wait a minute, let me finish. If you don't know what the quantum,
Then enlighten me. Tell me what the quantum vacuum is.
no, wait a minute. Before you ask me what the quantum vacuum is, you made a statement that it comes into existence. No,
Then
no,
where did it come from?
you cannot say nothing. I'm telling you that any scientist who says that particles come from nothing are not scientists.
Okay, then where did
Because
it come
no scientist makes the assertion anything comes from nothing.
from? No, they come into spontaneous existence.
Yeah, from where?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter because that was my question.
Okay, so I'm telling you that we
Don't say you.
Okay,
Tell me what the scientists
Yeah, they say we don't know where they come from.
That is better. You know that is better
Yeah.
because what you just said a minute ago was from nothing. That is a fallacy.
First time I didn't say it was nothing. Second time, on second go round, the word slipped out of the mouth. But we don't know where they come from.
Let's
They
not
just
have
come
any more
from
clips. So one thing we know is not from nothing. Okay?
No, we don't know
reason,
that. We don't know that.
okay. Scientifically, can something come from nothing?
It doesn't matter.
It
We
does.
don't know.
It does. No. Because if
we
something
don't
is a
know.
fallacy.
But that's what I'm trying to say.
Punit,
You are
Punit,
putting.
now you're going into a field which is non-scientific.
No, but that's what I'm trying
Can
to say.
anything come from nothing?
No, we don't know. Again, we don't know. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Let me
We
take
don't
you
know.
a step back.
But no, what I'm trying to say
Punit,
is
Punit,
that
let me take a step back because what you have just made there is another fallacy. When you say we don't know, it implies that there is a possibility it can come from nothing.
of course it can.
Good. Now let me ask you this. What is your definition of nothing?
I cannot define nothing. Nothing would be as
Very
simple
simple.
as vacuum of space.
No, vacuum is still something.
Exactly. It could
So
be.
what is nothing?
Nothing is nothing.
Okay, let me ask you another question. No. You do not define the word with a word.
Then
Have you looked at the
okay,
dictionary?
then how do you
The
define
words have a
nothing?
definition.
Okay.
In the
If
definition,
you
the
want me
word
to
itself.
give you the dictionary meaning of nothing, I can probably pull that up. But then that is
Well,
not
we
what
are
you're
talking
getting
English,
at.
aren't we? Review?
Yeah, please.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. For me, the meaning of nothing is the absence of everything. Is that good enough for you? Good. Alhamdulillah. Now the next question. Does nothing exist? I'm saying it doesn't exist.
Okay, fine.
Do you agree with that as well?
No, I don't agree with
You don't
but
agree?
I agree.
Okay. So in other words, in the universe, you can find nothing somewhere.
We don't know. Again, you're making assertions
You're
there.
getting worse, honestly. I thought you were an intelligent man.
No, but I'm
earlier.
willing to listen out what you're
No, but
trying to say.
if you say,
But I don't have to agree with what
Punit,
you're
do you
saying.
agree with the definition I gave you?
Yeah, I mean, the
So if
definition
something
in a roundabout
listen,
way is correct.
It's not
yeah.
roundabout way. It is very specific. The absence of everything.
Everything,
Okay. Now, if it's an absence of everything, yes, that means does it exist?
Again, that's an assertion that can't be made either which way.
I'm making the assertion that.
But okay, I
let me ask
agree.
you. Let me
no,
ask you.
once again. But why? Okay, I agree that you're making the assertion and this is what you believe.
But
Continue with your line of
wait. In order for me, no. In order for us to communicate with certain words, we need to be on the same page. For example, do you believe in infinity?
Yes, there are several kinds of infinity.
Does infinity exist,
Yes,
or is it a concept?
concept can exist.
I don't think we're getting anywhere with this.
A concept can
A
exist.
concept can exist. So basically, a green elephant.
Does maths exist?
Wait.
It's as simple as
A
that.
green elephant
Is
who's
maths-
flying in the
does
sky
maths-
is a
does-
concept. Does it
yeah.
exist?
Does maths exist? Maths is a concept.
Maths in abstract.
It's a concept.
Numbers
right?
are abstract.
Yeah, it's a concept, but it does exist. It has real world implications.
No.
Everything that
When
we
you say
have
exist,
exists on
hold on.
maths.
Now we have to define the term exist. Because what you're saying is about abstract numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers are abstract.
Okay.
Do they exist in the real world?
No, but
Thank you.
but the effect
At
of
least that
numbers
you
exists in
understand.
the real world.
Okay, so now,
But the effect of numbers exists
wait a
in
minute.
every
Wait a minute. I'm talking about the effect of the numbers. The effect of the numbers means what? Are you telling me
Numbers are the way we
listen.
design, we define.
Are you telling me that if there is a society somewhere in the world who knows nothing about maths,
Yes.
yes, and let's say they don't even use numbers, yes,
Of course it does. Because numbers are intrinsic.
but they don't use numbers.
It doesn't matter if they use numbers or not. The effect of the numbers is there.
What is the effect on them?
On
Give me one thing
everything,
that affects
on
them. Go on.
everything, from the percentage of.
They don't use percentage.
It doesn't matter. It
I'm
still
telling you
works.
about a scenario.
It still works.
Puneet, I'm telling you a scenario.
Just because, that's
Okay,
what
give me
I'm
one
saying.
example that affects them. Go on.
Anything from the houses that they make, cutting the wood, they know the dimensions that they're going to use. They have an intrinsic idea of how to make a house so that it doesn't collapse. Everything is maths.
They don't live
Just
in houses, they live in trees. Then what?
Okay, which tree branch looks strong enough? That's also
That's got nothing to do with
Of
numbers.
course it is. Of course it is. That's the thickness of the.
Do they measure
all
it?
Doesn't
They
matter.
just jump on
know
it and see is it big enough?
They know it.
You know, I didn't play this game all day. One thing you need to realize is this. There are certain things which are abstract, there are certain things which are concepts. They don't exist in the real world. They might,
But their
yes,
effect
I agree,
exists.
I agree,
Their effect
I agree.
exists.
For example, in a formula, in maths, you can use a term which is infinite. They have a symbol for it. They have a symbol for zero. Is there anything which is zero in the world?
But it doesn't matter. It's still.
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you real world implications. There are certain things you use in order to communicate. Yes? Like for example, the term zero, like the term infinity, like the term, what's the term that we were using? Yeah, nothing. These things we use in order for us to communicate. But if I ask you, does nothing exist? The answer to that is very simple. No, because it's a concept. Good. So now we're getting somewhere. So now the question is this. If nothing doesn't even exist, can it bring about something which does exist in the real world?
But who said nothing brought about something?
That was a question. It was not a statement. It was a question to you. If something doesn't even exist like nothing, can it bring into existence something?
But again,
Like your cap, for example.
But again, what I'm saying is, in what context is the question being asked?
Okay, from nothing to something. Very
Basically,
simple.
the start of the universe, Big Bang.
No, I'm not talking about the science. I'm talking about anything. Let's say an atom. Do you believe an atom is something, right?
Yes.
Can an atom come from nothing?
Apparently, it does.
Where?
When quantum particles.
Oh, there goes again.
Again.
You yourself said it's not from nothing. It's a slip of tongue.
Okay.
I'm asking, can it come from nothing? Not from somewhere you don't know.
Okay. Fine.
So once again,
Coming from something.
can it
Fine.
come from nothing?
No. Fine.
Alhamdulillah, finally. So difficult to get to you, Puneet. Simple terms sometimes, they're not possible. But alhamdulillah, at least we are there. Now the question is this. Do you believe the atom is something?
Yes.
It cannot come from nothing. The atom is macroscopic. We cannot even observe it with our naked eye, right? We need a special kind of microscope. Yes? An atomic microscope is what it's called. We need a special kind of microscope. The universe is massive. If the atom cannot come from nothing, then the universe comes from nothing.
In the roundabout way that.
Don't give me a round of applause. I don't like beating around the bush.
No, but that's what
No,
I'm
I
saying.
want specific answer to the specific
But
question.
that's what I'm saying. If the way that you are defining nothingness,
No, which you agreed with me.
but then
Don't say you. Don't put it on me. I'm asking the question to you. Don't try to
the
put
universe
it on
came
me.
from something, from the.
Okay, so it's not from nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the question is this: what is this something?
We call it the singularity.
What is the singularity? Did the singularity come from nothing?
We don't know.
Can it come from nothing?
We don't know.
Can it come from nothing?
Again, we don't know.
Okay. How can you say we don't know?
Because you are
We have already
talking about
agreed to-
things that we don't know about.
Puneet, you already agreed to the principle something doesn't come from nothing.
But
Is
that is valid today. We don't know what will happen.
even yesterday, even yesterday something is
Yesterday, of
something.
course it was valid. Yesterday, of course it was valid. But there are so many things which are
Something-
valid today which are not valid 50 years ago.
Puneet, I'm not talking about discoveries. I'm talking about something.
Exactly.
Is something yesterday and today, or was it only something yesterday?
But then we don't know what is going to be in the future.
Okay, is the infinite, sorry, is the, I'm talking about the future? I'm asking you about what you yourself postulated. You mentioned the singularity. What is the singularity?
Singularity is, in layman's terms, when everything in the universe that we see was compacted into a single infinitesimally dense point.
Is it nothing?
It's something. It's everything. In fact, the singularity is everything.
So something in everything is not nothing. Do you agree?
The singularity is everything.
I agree, but it cannot be nothing, can it?
Again, okay, fine. That's good.
Because it exists. It existed at one point, right? Anything that exists in reality cannot be nothing.
Okay, fine.
Good. So now, please answer the question. can something, or everything in your case compacted into the singularity, can this singularity come from something that doesn't exist, like nothing?
Again, we don't know what probably know. That's why the whole thing.
You're not being sincere now. Either that or you don't understand the question.
No, I understand the question.
Okay, the question once again, do you agree with this principle that something cannot come from nothing?
Okay, supposing it came from something.
No, supposing. I want to get to the bottom of this. Please, either you agree or disagree with this principle.
Because the question is framed in such a way.
No, put it. It's a different question.
No.
Listen to the question.
Yeah.
Do you agree with this principle? Something tangible, can it come from nothing? Something. I'm not talking about infinity. I'm not talking about singularity or universe.
Something
or
has to
anything.
come from something.
Okay, this is the principle we are going to work on. Okay? You said that the singularity is a something.
Okay.
Do you stick with the principle that it cannot come from nothing?
That's where it breaks down.
Which is what?
That's where it breaks down.
What breaks down?
At the end of the day, what you're talking about is causality. Something has to come from something else, right?
It's called causality.
Causality.
What is causality?
Yeah, causality is something, cause and effect.
Anything that has a beginning.
Yes.
Has a cause.
Yes.
Do you agree with that principle?
Yes, it's called causality. But then but the point is, as soon as you reach the singularity, causality breaks down.
No, it doesn't.
Of course it does.
How?
Of course it does. All the laws of physics stop working at that point in time. Because we don't know. We are missing something in our picture of the universe.
So you're saying, in order for something to exist, you need to have the physical laws.
I'm not saying that.
Why does it break down? Because you mentioned the laws of physics.
Because we don't understand beyond that point.
So say like that, I don't know. Instead of saying,
What will I be saying? We don't know.
no. You said, in fact, I have to break it down to you what nothing means.
I've been saying we don't know since when.
Okay. So in other words, where the singularity came from, we don't know. Is that what you're saying? Good. Now the question which you haven't answered still is, I understood your point, we don't know. And if you stop there, that would have been fine. The question that I asked you was very specific. Is there any probability or possibility, yes, that it came from nothing?
Again, we don't know.
Okay. Remember the principle you agreed to earlier?
Yes, but that works in this universe, this current iteration.
Oh,
where we have causality.
wait. So you're telling me the singularity is in a different universe?
No, we don't know. we
Which
don't know.
which universe is it in? Is it in? Are you telling me?
Nothing can come.
Yeah.
Something can't come from nothing. It doesn't matter where you put it.
Exactly.
But that's what I'm
You see,
saying.
Mark got the point. You didn't get the point.
No, you are
trying to
missing the wood for the trees. You're looking at causality on a very, very small scale and
have
how
to.
it works in
We
this
have to look
universe
at
right
every
now
single
currently.
scale.
But what I'm trying to say is that at the singularity, causality breaks down.
You know what? You don't even know if the singularity is in our universe or not.
There is no place that the singularity was.
Or the singularity wasn't in any place.
It was everywhere. That's what the point I'm trying to make.
Where is everywhere?
Everywhere.
Okay, you're telling me space existed before singularity?
Space and time were created at the point.
No, but you said it existed everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. There is no space or time for it to exist in. It is space and time, the singularity.
So can anything, listen, I'm using the term anything for something. Can something or anything exist without time and space?
Again, singularity exists without time and space. Black holes exist without time or space. Of course they do.
Black holes exist without time and space?
Yes.
So where are the black holes? Are they in our universe or outside?
They're in our universe.
Does our universe have space?
Is it there?
You said it's without space, is that?
Yeah, but singularity.
Make up your mind, man.
Again, there's
Okay. So you have used the term,
singularity.
you have used the term singularity,
Yeah.
and you have agreed it's not nothing. Am I right? The singularity is not nothing. It is something.
Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
Now, the question which you see, I think Mark has understood this, but you somehow haven't understood yet. If the singularity is something, three possibilities exist. It created itself, it came from nothing, or something caused it. Which one is true in this case?
As far as we can tell, it created itself.
Oh, it created itself.
That's
Who
what
is
it
we,
is.
by the way? Who is we? Again, you're using the same language as the guy before
Alan
you.
Guth. Alan Guth gathered information.
So what is Alan Guth says? Did he say it created itself?
Yeah, it spontaneously comes into existence.
What do you say? What do you mean by spontaneous? Does it require some material for it to exist?
Spontaneous.
Is there any evidence for this?
That's a hypothesis, and it works.
So there's no evidence for it, in other words. It's a speculation. Can we call it a speculation?
You cannot
Okay,
call it
so when you say
standard.
spontaneously came from nothing,
Yes.
that means you are breaking the principle of something coming from nothing.
Exactly why.
In other words, you're
exactly
telling me.
why I'm not saying
Wait.
that.
In other words, you're going back to the quantum physics. The quantum mechanics. Am I right?
Possibly. We don't
Okay.
know.
So once again, do the what do you say? The quantum matter comes from nothing.
Again, we don't know.
Don't say don't know. Don't say from nothing.
But I've been saying we don't know all this while. But
You said there is a
trying to
possibility
put
it
words
came from
in my
nothing.
mouth.
Okay.
You're the one who's trying
So
to-
remember I gave you the three options. You said it created itself. Yes. So in other words, it's got some sort of consciousness.
There doesn't need to be a God for the universe to come into existence.
So how does
If
it?
we are saying it created
Let me get this
itself,
right. Something
we don't need a God for
Wait.
it.
I didn't ask you about God yet. Okay, so don't jump to
No,
God.
you just got in the question.
I did not bring in God.
You just said
Did I
God.
use the term God? I didn't use the term God. So anyone, I don't know, you got some sort of
Maybe I thought you
something
used
going on in the head there. Maybe God whispering, telling you, say God. In other words, your fitra is telling you, say God. Your natural disposition. Because you see, when you say something caused itself, it's like me saying a robot invented itself. Is that even logical?
Doesn't matter. The
It
universe
does,
doesn't need to be
because
logical.
to me, to me, a singularity is more complex than a single cell molecule. It is. So if something single cell cannot create itself, how can something more complex than it create itself?
I can't single cell create.
Show me why it created itself. Go on.
But that does not mean that I didn't.
Well, you are speculating again.
No,
I'm
no.
telling you, go based on facts. You keep saying
Yes,
it
we-
can possibly, but then you can't define. So you cannot show us when, how, and where such an event occurred.
No,
All you can say
we
is
can replicate
speculate
a lot
about
of the
it.
process in the lab now.
Really? Show me a single lab which has produced. Even forget about a single cell. Even the mitochondria itself, by itself, in a lab.
We don't need to create mitochondria. We can create basic building blocks, and we
Show
find
me
that
which
there's
which scientist has created.
RNA. We've created RNA in the lab.
Show me where it has created
I'll have to look it up, but this is
mitochondria, which is basically
But
the.
why the mitochondria? Why this fixation of the mitochondria? That
The
is not
mitochondria.
important.
What is the function of the mitochondria in the
The
cell?
mitochondria is not important.
What is the
important
function? Do you
thing
know?
is to be- yeah, I know what it's a
what-
powerhouse of the cell.
Okay, can the cell work without the powerhouse?
Not
That's why it's important.
not the multicellular organisms. We can't.
No, I'm talking about single cell. Can a single cell
single
function?
cell. Yeah,
Wait,
single cell
can a
function.
single cell function without a mitochondria?
Yes, of course they can.
Which one?
There are so many
me
single
one
cell
single cell
organisms in the
doesn't have-
world.
okay.
An amoeba doesn't have a mitochondria.
Who said an amoeba doesn't have mitochondria? A single cell.
Lots of single cell
A
are there.
single cell doesn't have
In fact,
mitochondria.
most of the life on Earth does not have mitochondria.
So what does a single cell have then?
It
To run it?
It has its own ways of making energy. And
What is its
conserving
powerhouse?
energy. I don't know. That I
I don't know. And then he's so confident that it doesn't have a
Okay, you're so
mitochondria.
patently wrong on this. Most
what?
of life on Earth does not have mitochondria. For that matter, even plants don't have mitochondria. They have chlorophyll and chloroplast, which is not mitochondria.
You're
It's
saying
different.
plants don't have cells?
Again, what was the question? Does it have mitochondria?
I'm
No,
saying
it doesn't.
every cell-
Most of life on
Hashim,
Earth,
calm down.
most life on Earth does not
Why
have
getting emotional? Calm
mitochondria.
down.
And because you're twisting my
I'm
words
not
around.
twisting anything. I'm asking you, a single cell has any lab created it?
No, we haven't gotten that
Good.
far.
So don't
yet.
say they can do it.
But
Because
we've-
my question was, listen.
But
my-
we've
my-
created the other
No,
parts.
my question was this.
We've created
If a
protein
single cell,
blankets, we've created RNA, we've created DNA.
minute, can you calm down? I asked you, a single cell, is it more complex or less complex than a singularity? And you said no, the singularity is more complex. So a single cell cannot be created in the lab. Can they create a singularity in the lab? They can't.
They can.
Who can?
Yes.
Which scientist has done it?
No, they do.
You do not know the name of the scientist?
They create.
Yeah, give me the name.
Sam.
Sam what?
Sam.
You just made it up. That's right. That's why you shouldn't speak with little knowledge, because it's dangerous.
Okay, you know what?
Okay,
We're gonna have to look it up.
you find out if any scientist has created a singularity in the lab. Because you see, anyone who says it can create itself, then you should show us where, when, and not speculate. Because what you have just done so far, I had a tough time defining nothing to you and defining infinity to you, that these things don't exist, they are concepts. For you to say they create themselves, then there is more evidence that you have to provide. Okay, don't just say they have done it, they have this speculation of the
But that's just the
speculation.
thing that you're doing. You are just speculating.
I did not.
and
I asked the question.
Asking
I did not
people the
speculate.
evidence.
Look, anything that I said is something. In fact, he agreed on the principle that something cannot come from nothing.
I'm kind of believing him by now.
Yes. You're saying the singularity is complex, then show us how did it create itself? Because all you're doing is now just making a statement without substantiating it, without a proof. Okay, so basically, look, unless you substantiate it, there's no point in. Alright, take care of it. Anyway, look, at least he was. No, guys. We give him credit for being honest. He had been honest most of the time. Sometimes it's a bit difficult because when you come from a point of view, from a background which you have been, in other words,
Indoctrinated.
yeah, in a way indoctrinated by so many people, by reading so many books about science. Because you see, when a scientist looks into evidences and probabilities and theories and postulations, one thing that doesn't exist, what they do not factor in, is God. You go to any peer-reviewed journals, as soon as you mention anything about God, they'll just check it out because they have already made up their mind. This is a cognitive dissonance among the scientists that they cannot get over it. They do not know that this is one of the possibilities. Yes, they do not even factor that in. They say no, as soon as you mention God, it's it. We are not dealing with it. And those people who bring it in, they are being not only harassed, but they are being discriminated against. And I don't mean only Christians and Muslims and Jews who are scientists. I also mean agnostics and some other people who might bring it in. As soon as you try to factor in God, immediately it kind of just switches off. Okay? No, you can't. So what I'm saying is that anyone who studies science and doesn't use all the different possibilities, then they cannot be true to themselves. Because as soon as you basically discount one possibility from the many others, then you already are limiting your research by using that thing which you discount as being a possibility. Simple as that. So alhamdulillah, the scientists will use certain factors which they can measure, which they can look into, which they can explain. But what they have a limitation is something of the metaphysics which they cannot explain. Hence, they do not believe in God, they do not believe in things. But unfortunately, they cannot get away from the one metaphysical aspect which they all believe that they have. It is called consciousness. Consciousness is immaterial. They cannot measure it, they cannot observe it, they cannot define it. Yes? But they all agree that they have it. Otherwise, without that, they won't be able to think. Rationality, logical discussions, all these things go out the window without your consciousness. Without your ability to know that you exist, and without your ability to know and acknowledge the reality. Because the thing is, how will you know something from the real world from something which is fictional? You have to have certain faculties and certain criteria to distinguish between reality and between fiction, between reality and non-reality. Without that, you won't know what is real otherwise. And that can only be possible with your faculty of reasoning, of logic, and specifically your consciousness. Jazak Allah Khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Why you didn't answer my question?
Because you're not worth it.
Why not?
Because you don't know the scientist, Sam.
What about
Do you know what is infinite regress? What is it?
different science?
Okay, so you don't know what is. By the way, if you were an aeronautical engineer, it would come in your ear what is. Year one, they tell you what is infinite regress.
Really? That's what they call rhetoric.
He's a smart man. He's a smart man.
By the way, go and watch the video. Go and watch the video.
Well, I don't think so. I think he's pretty good. So far, what not?